Welcome back to another episode of In Depth with Academia. I'm Richard Price, CEO of academia.edu, and as always, I'm thrilled you've chosen to join me on our journey through the fascinating landscape of academic research. Thanks so much for tuning in. It means a ton to curious minds like yours along the ride. Today, we're diving into a paper authored by Paul Januszewski, and, just a heads up, my job here is to present the paper's ideas and findings neutrally. I'm not endorsing the paper or its conclusions, I'm just your friendly neighbourhood messenger. Okay, so what is this paper about? Well, let's get right into the core question it tackles. At the heart of Januszewski's work is a gripping, deeply personal question. How does the trauma of war and forced displacement affect a person's sense of identity and the peace they hope to find in themselves? Why do some wounds, especially those left by conflicts like World War II, seem to persist not only through a person's life but also across generations? And is there a path toward resolution or redemption for those whose very sense of self was upended by history? If you've ever looked at your own family history and wondered how the big storms, historical events like wars or migration, transform individual lives, you can probably already sense why this matters. This isn't just a history question, it's a heart question, a soul question. Januszewski focuses on the story of his own father, who lived through World War II, who wrestled with questions of identity, belonging, even guilt, right up until the end of his life. So how does the paper approach something as complex as identity, especially when it's been fragmented by war? The method is both narrative and documentary. Januszewski draws on personal letters, family memories, even official documents related to his father's life. It's part historical investigation, part heartfelt appeal. He lays bare not only his father's journey, but also the emotional threads connecting generations. There's something intimate about the way the paper uses both hard evidence and, let's call it the poetry of human experience. Some key findings? Let's break it down. Januszewski articulates that for many people caught up in the chaos of World War II, especially those known as Volksdeutsche, ethnic Germans living outside Germany, identity became a lifelong crisis. His father was swept into the maelstrom, conscripted into the Waffen-SS during the war, and then, after the conflict, left adrift with an unresolved sense of self, not wholly accepted in his adopted land, nor able to return to his roots. That feeling of not belonging just haunted him right up to his passing. The paper contends that without public or official recognition of such life stories, the trauma lingers, sometimes through descendants who, like Januszewski, feel tasked with resolving unfinished business. There's a plea here. Can the acknowledgement of a person's existence, a formal recognition of their journey, help heal something deeply wounded? What would it mean for a family, for anyone, if personal dignity could be restored through historical memory? And here's where it might hit home for you, the listener. Maybe you've seen how grandparents or parents carry secrets or sadness about their pasts. Maybe there's unfinished business in your own family. The paper reminds us that academic research isn't just abstract or statistical, it's about lived reality. When we study documents, ask questions, probe at the silences, we can actually help bring peace, even posthumously, to those we love. There's a passage Januszewski shares about his father singing to himself near the end of his life. Ich möchte noch einmal ein Leben haben, which loosely is like saying, I wish I could have one more life. Oh, that's poignant, isn't it? People don't just want material reckoning, they want existential belonging. They want to know they mattered, that their struggles were seen. And, okay, I have to say, sometimes when I'm reading these deeply personal appeals, I wonder about all the other letters or stories that never got told. I mean, how many people have lived and died without ever having their voice heard by anyone outside their family? That thought just stops me cold sometimes. But anyway, I digress. So, to wrap up, Januszewski's paper is not a simple historical account, it's an ODE to the ongoing struggle for identity, dignity, and healing after war. It raises questions about who gets remembered, who gets recognition, and whether history can and should offer solace. But hey, I want to underline, this is one perspective, right? It doesn't settle the issue or offer some universal truth. What it does do is invite you, me, all of us, to reflect on our own histories, to recognise pain, and maybe to think about how acknowledgement can change a life, even after death. Thanks so much for joining me today on In Depth with Academia. If you've got thoughts or reflections, I'd honestly love to hear them. Keep asking questions, keep digging, and hey, remember, every story counts, even if it hasn't been written down yet. Until next time, I'm Richard Price, and I'll see you soon.
The invasion of Poland was the beginning of Hitler's plan for the future of Germany. The consolidation of the master race and the assurance of a 1,000-year Reich. The plan was to destroy the Polish nation completely, to wipe it off the map and turn it into a so-called Lebensraum, or living space for the German people. It would be a place where peoples of Germanic background would live and be reconstituted back into a greater Germany. A place where mass murder, extermination, ethnic cleansing and deportation would be the order of the day. Poles and Jews alike were taken away and shot. Many were sent to forced labour camps, never to be seen again. This was my father's Poland. In order to define who might live or indeed who might die, the Nazis instigated the Volkslist. The listing defined a person by race rather than birth. Only those on the list would be safe from persecution. These were the Volksdeutsche, peoples born in countries other than Germany, who had some form of German lineage, some drop of German blood. These were ethnic Germans. In order to preserve their existence and guarantee their safety, my father's parents claimed their German link.
I am lost in this world. From that moment, my father became a traitor to his country of birth. He was 11 years old. What do you do? Traitor to your country or traitor to your race? Traitor to your country or traitor to your race?